ESPN Tonight.
Exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Women in sports, a new intensity, a look in a woman's eyes. They stay focused on what their objective is, and that is to win. We are looking at the finest and the best athletes, and I'm very, very proud to have all of them in the city of Philadelphia.
Tonight we bring you Homeward Bound with a historical twist. It's the women's Final Four, shooting hoops with Philadelphia's own G Love and special sauce.
Well, when the school is down and the shift that was done, the girls together, I get a ball in a run. I'm a lace on my sleeve. I kick off them shoes. I'll meant to play to win, cause you know I don't like to lose. And take apart, they got the best competition. Good more, baby. I'm that definition. They shoot it all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They playing basketball. Shoot 'em out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They playing basketball, baby.
The Liberty Bell, an icon of the city of brotherly love, and a welcome sight to 4 teams who have made it here to Philadelphia. Just a few miles outside of downtown, our host site for the national semifinals of Women's Division I basketball. The First Union Center, our home for the weekend. And tonight, 20,656 people will fill this arena, all with a rooting interest. The 4 participants, all well represented. And tonight, only 2 teams will go home still with hopes of a national championship. In our first national semifinal, 6-time national champion Tennessee will face Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights' first appearance in the NCAA Final Four. Maybe we should call it the Philly Four. We've had so much fun filling in that bracket over the last couple of weeks. We decided to bring it here with us to Philly. And Connecticut defeated Penn State, Rutgers, and Tennessee during the regular season. For the first time in the history of the women's Final Four, a team comes here to the Final Four, having beaten the 3 other opponents. Hello again, everyone. Glad you're with us. Alongside Jay Billis and Vera Jones, I'm Robin Roberts, and you are in for a real treat. The 4 Final Four coaches have a combined win total of 2,292 games, 140 of those victories coming in the NCAA tournament, so they know what they're doing. And our first matchup, the team really a reflection of the coach, beginning with Rutgers, Jay.
Well, Rutgers plays with pride and determination. They pay attention to detail, and they stick to their core beliefs. They're very reflective of their head coach, Vivian Stringer, who, in my judgment, is one of the finest coaches in the game's history. I've always admired her will and her ability to overcome adversity, and her team is going to have to show both of those fine qualities tonight if they expect to beat a very good Tennessee team.
Well, there certainly have been some mainstays as well for Tennessee. Number 1, the shade of orange that they choose. Number 2, Rocky Top. And number 3, Pat Summitt has always maintained that the core of her program is defense and rebounding. Expect intense defense and intense rebounding. She also will have to add in a mixture of patience and the half-court offense if she wants to secure a victory tonight.
And this is the first time that Pat Summitt is kind of the outsider. She is the only coach that doesn't have direct tie here to Philadelphia as far as coaching is concerned. Of course, her player Ace Clement is from here in Philadelphia. But the 5 of the last 6 times the Lady Vols have made it here to the Final Four, they've gone back home with a national championship. Again, with the pleasure of calling the action for us this year, Ann Myers and Mike Patrick down on the floor.
Robin, thank you very much. Tennessee comes in with the Naismith Player of the Year, Tamika Catchings, although, Ann, she didn't rack up the impressive numbers you would think this year.
Well, the numbers may not jump out at you, 16 points and 8 rebounds a game, but she jumps out at you because of what she does at her size. In the Mid-East region, region finals against Texas Tech, she went down with an ankle sprain and was out 7 minutes. But when she came back in, she made a difference. She had 7 points, but 16 rebounds and key defensive plays. Those are the kinds of things that she does out on the floor. In this game against Rutgers, though, I think she's going to have to score some points.
Shawnetta Stewart led her Rutgers team into the finals, but it was a decision that she made 4 years ago that really set all this up.
A Philly kid coming back to Philadelphia. Who would have thought it was Vivian Stringer? They both had a dream 4 years ago, and she came up with some clutch shots against Georgia in the West Regional Finals. She's going to have to hit clutch shots against this Tennessee team. She's a senior. She's got to show leadership.
It's a couple of great players that we'll be keeping an eye on, but they've got a lot of company with Rutgers and Tennessee. Back to you, Robin.
All right, Mike and Annie, thank you very much. You are right. Sit back, folks, and enjoy a full night of basketball here on ESPN. Will Pat Summitt's blend of All-American experience and blue-collar support be enough to get another title shot? Or will Destiny's favors side with Rutgers and Vivian Stringen's return home to Philadelphia?
What it comes down to, 4 years has come down to 40 minutes.
At St. Mary's, we have always equipped ourselves with powerful tools of healing, but have never forgotten that the true gift of medicine lies not in the tools, but in the hands that use them.
Westside Honda will beat any advertised price, payment, or offer, period. Save during our first large sale of the year. Over 500 new Hondas available. Civic LX sedan, automatic, loaded with power equipment for only $13,969. Plus get 4.9 APR when you finance and get up to 35 miles per gallon when you hit the highway. Choose Accord LX at only $16,569. Plus get 3.9 APR financing. $16,569 is the lowest price on Accord this year. Our goal is to deliver
And Tennessee, here are the Burt Plus starting lineups. And who do you like in the backcourt?
Well, I like Tasha Pointer and Kara Lawson. Kara Lawson, the freshman, has stepped into that starting spot for Tennessee, has done a good job. Tasha Pointer, hey, she's got Philadelphia attitude for a Chicago kid.
Who do we watch up front?
I'd say in the center, you got to go with Michelle Snow and Tammy Sutton-Brown. Tammy Sutton-Brown has to stay out of foul trouble for Rutgers. And Michelle Snow, she may be thin, but at 6'5", she can create some damage.
All weekend, we'll be talking about the remarkable connections between these teams and the city of Philadelphia. For more on that, we're delighted to welcome the newest member of our team, Michelle Tafoya.
Thank you very much, Michael. For Steve Vivian Stringer, who was born just outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this is no ordinary homecoming. She comes here as the first coach ever, men's or women's, to lead 3 different schools to the Final Four. This year, of course, it's Rutgers. In 1993, it was Iowa, and back in 1982, it was Cheney State, which is about 24 miles away from here. Now, it was there that Stringer crafted her defensive philosophy alongside another Philly legend, John Cheney, now with Temple. They remain very good friends, and he surprised her by meeting the team bus when it arrived at the hotel on Wednesday. And then he surprised no one by chewing out a couple of her players about defensive lapses during the regionals. But as homecomings go, Mike, Stringer wouldn't have it any other way.
All right, Michelle, thanks very much. Tennessee's Pat Summitt, number 2 all-time, 727 wins, but more importantly, 6 NCAA titles, and the winner of the Naismith Coach of the Century Award. And there's only been one of those. Tennessee missed out on the Final Four a year ago after 3 straight national championships, just itching to get back. And when Pat Summitt went jogging a lot this year, she wore Duke garb. She was reminding herself, and I think a lot of her players, of who knocked them out last year.
She had it on today. As a matter of fact, there was a kid at her camp this year that had the Duke shorts and T-shirt, and she said, what do you want to trade for that? And she wore it all summer long, all season long. Today she went jogging with it, and she hopes on Sunday, too. This game is going to be all about tempo. Tennessee wants to pick it up. They'd like to run, but hey, Rutgers, a defensive team, they will slow it up. They will make Tennessee play a half-court game.
Sutton Brown got the tip, but it's controlled by Randall. This is Ace Clement, gives it up to Lawson. She is the point guard, and this team started to gel once she became the point guard in January.
Also the fact that Ace Clement went ahead and mentally said, I can accept the role to go into the number 2 spot and still start for Pat Summitt's team.
9 on the shot clock. Lawson kicks it out to Clement, another Philadelphia native. She lost it on the way in. The ball is out of bounds, and it's out to Rutgers.
That's what they do. They make you rush your shot. The shot clock starts winding down, and you don't take a high percentage shot. Watch for Tennessee, though, against this defense. Try to get it down inside the lane off the baseline. Rutgers is not as big a team as Tennessee, but matchups have not hurt this Scarlet Knights.
Stewart brings up the ball. Rutgers will try to be patient on offense.
Now the shot clock will run down with this Rutgers team.
Sutton Brown avoided the steal, got it off. The baseline jumper won't go for Washington.
Vivian Stringer said coming into this game, boards are going to be a big difference because Tennessee is so big, and they are a good rebounding team. They've got to try and keep them off the boards.
Clement, top of the circle. Not much of an offensive threat, even though she held the Philadelphia Catholic League record for points. Now she takes a 3 and drains it. Kristen Clement, who averages only 5.5 points a game, has the first 3.
Well, she's a junior that has a lot of leadership. And again, you mentioned about her switching positions. A bad pass right there, but defensively, what Rutgers will do is try and force you to take that outside shot. Usually they put a little pressure on you, but Clement steps back way behind the three-point line. Usually teams like to get a little closer, but she's knocking that 3 down. That gives her a lot of confidence. And her ankle is taped, that right ankle, and the back of it says, the new me.
Well, the new her is 1 for 1 from outside. Clement again, top of the circle, and that will draw a crowd when she makes that shot. Catching backs up, takes the jumper. Knew it was short, tried to follow it. Randall with the rebound, and it's a jump ball with Davlin Cunningham.
And that's going to be great hustle by the Lady Bulls, going after the offensive board, trying to keep Rutgers from getting any kind of running game against them when they got fast break opportunities.
Tennessee comes into this game averaging over 80 points a game. Rutgers likes the slower tempo. They only average 64.
These two teams met last year. Shamika Holzclaw was on the team. They played at Madison Square Garden, drew over 15,000 people. And Rutgers held Tennessee, who was leading the nation at that time with 54% from the floor, shot 41%, and held them to only 68 points in that game.
Shot clock is at 9. Stewart is their creator. Hits the runner. Tough shot for Shawnetta Stewart.
She is the one player that can put the ball on the floor and come up with jump shots like that.
Randall looking inside for Snow. They do a pretty effective job covering her up. Lawson will try a 3. And a good box out and a rebound to Davlin Cunningham.
Cunningham, only a sophomore, probably doesn't get a lot of credit in this lineup.
Pointer trying to penetrate. She's really picked up her game in the NCAA tournament. Coming in, she had averaged 5.5 assists a game in the tournament. She's got it up to 7.
The screen right here, and one-on-one move that Stewart can do, and a lot of that comes from a Philly ball growing up here in the street. Playing with the guys.
Told you about Kristen Clement setting the Catholic League record. She set the public school record for score. Pointer saves that one.
Yeah, they have a little ego going on there.
I think they do. Clement trying to stay on Pointer. She tries a pull-up jumper and hit it. Tasha Pointer. And Rutgers has the first lead of the game for the Scarlet Knights.
You know, Tasha Pointer, you talk about that Philly attitude, even though she's from Chicago, she came in as a freshman and really kind of changed the attitude of this team and is leader for Vivian Stringer.
Snow has to come out to the free throw line to get the ball and shows her range.
That's the one area against this zone. If Tennessee can get the ball in the middle like that in the high post area, especially with somebody 6'5" like Michelle Snow, they've got a good chance of getting opportunities with high percentage shots.
Snow goes for the steal. Got a hand on it. Was able to save it, and she's fouled. What a bonus when your post player can come out and create turnovers.
Well, that time, Carlita Washington really telegraphed the pass. She really didn't know where Snow was coming from. Snow's got those long arms, and at 6'5", Washington just made a poor decision.
Washington will come out of the ball game, and Yusha Gilmore, a 6-foot senior, comes in. She's given them some pretty good offense off the bench, and she can play any one of 3 spots.
You know, 2 years ago, these two teams met in the semi-regional finals in Vanderbilt, and this Rutgers team was sophomores and freshmen, and boy, they had a moxie about a man and attitude. Yeah, bring on Tennessee, we want to play them.
Ace Clement, 2 for 2 from the floor. She's already hit her season average for scoring, and Tennessee's up by 3.
And I think with the kind of passion that Rutgers had and the attitude going in against Tennessee, you love to have a team that has a lot of confidence in themselves, but they just kind of got worn down. They're hoping
Gilmore
this year
can't
can be
get
different.
by. Comes outside. Cunningham nearly lost it. Tennessee will play you some tough man-to-man. 5 on the shot clock, and Stewart had to force one and missed everything. Great start for Tennessee, particularly the homegrown shooting guard, Kristen Clement. The Lady Vols up by 3.
Philadelphia, Tennessee has the early 7-4 lead. And, you know, one of the best, biggest names to ever come out of the Philadelphia high school scene was the late, great Wilt Chamberlain. In 3 years at Overbrook High School, Chamberlain set the public league scoring record of 2,252 points. And it looked like a record that wouldn't be touched, but there are 2 players in this game alone who surpassed Chamberlain's record. Rutgers' Shawnetta Stewart did it in 4 years at University City High School with 2,267 points. And Kristen Clement did it a year later at Cardinal O'Hara High School with 2,256 points. Pretty remarkable. 2 kids, same city with those kinds of numbers coming back to face each other in the Final Four. Only in Philly, Mike and Ann.
And Michelle, both of them want one thing tonight. That's advance to the national championship game. Lawson with an air ball, but it's off Rutgers out of bounds.
And Ace Clement had her jersey retired at Cardinal O'Hara High School, along with Teresa Brent, who played at Immaculata College.
Catches, kicks it back out to Clement. And Immaculata, of course, is where it all started for women's big-time basketball. Lawson did not hit the rim, and that is a shot clock violation. No bucket.
That smothering defense. Here you see Tennessee picking up, looking for the trap.
When they've got Snow back there helping at 6'5" with those long arms. Miles got it off, and Clement commits the foul to prevent the easy layup.
Rutgers did a nice job passing the ball against that press. You know, Clement's doing the scoring right now. We talk about Tennessee and the players that they have. They have 4 players that average in double figures, so you could see any one of the Lady Vols kind of stepping up and knocking some shots down.
Sutton Brown at the free throw line misses the first. She's a 63% free throw shooter and one of several big-time women's college players out of Canada. She's from Markham, Ontario.
She played on the Canadian national team, and for the last 2 years, she's been the most improved player on this Rutgers team.
Sutton Brown hits 1 of 2. It's a 2-point ball game. Tennessee hasn't had any easy buckets yet against this Rutgers defense. This one is kicked, and it's out of bounds to Tennessee.
Rutgers really switching up the defense. See Vivian Stringer, knowing that all season long for the last 4 years they've been preparing for this time and the kind of defenses. Now it looks like they're in a man-to-man. They switch up in that zone, and they're just going to continue to switch things up. It's difficult to pick up the kind of defenses they're playing.
Lawson. And of course, just recognizing that defense takes time, and you only have a 30-second shot clock to start with. Catching, having all kind of trouble getting inside. Clement, another 3, and she got it. 2 for 2 from downtown. 8 points overall for Kristen Clement. Nice homecoming so far.
Boy, if anybody can shine in today's game, there's no question that Ace Clement would be very happy to do it. Again, the only sole representative on this Tennessee team with any Philly ties.
Boy, those babies take a long time to come down, too. Baseline jumper rims out for Gilmore. Catching. Stolen by Stewart. Heck of a defensive play, then she lost it. Fight again. Gilmore out with it, and here comes Rutgers. Pointer with a left hand and a foul. And that's going to be on Ace Clement, her second.
Look at this ball handling. Don't you love crossover dribbles? Then she goes between the legs right the other way and with the left hand. Boy, hello. You don't see this too much from a lot of players on the college level. And Tasha Pointer wants to play in this game.
Even though she only averages less than 11 points a game, she can score, and you just saw how. She's very quick, wonderful ball handler. 3-point play back to a 2-point lead. And Clement, who has done the great early scoring, is going to have to come out of the ball game in favor of freshman April McDivitt. She has her second personal foul. Hit all 3 shots from the floor, including a pair of 3-pointers for 8 points. McDivitt dribbles out of trouble, and she's hurt. Lawson in the trap, gets a timeout. Boy, Shawnetta Stewart was letting her know what a trap they had her in, and McDivitt comes up limping after the contact. We'll be back in a moment.
What do I know about performance?
13:09 to go in the first half. Monday will bring you complete coverage of Major League Baseball's opening day, unless you're watching it from Japan, and then you've already had it at 1 on ESPN. Milwaukee against the Reds, followed at 4 the Cubs and the Cardinals. Over on ESPN2 at 1, the Padres and the Mets. At 4, the Rockies and the Braves. Finally at 10:30, the world champion Yankees against the Anaheim Angels. Monday is going to be a great day.
Talked to Pat Summitt before the game. She said she knew it was going to be a physical game. Rutgers comes at you because they're big body, kind of like how Tennessee used to be.
Glenn Jackson comes into the ball game after the injury to April McDivitt. She's number 13. And that's going to be another shot clock violation, and they didn't realize it until right at the end. Very un-Tennessee-like.
Well, now you got to look for the maturity. Again, the graduation of Kelly Jolly and Shamika Holtzclaw. But this team has really come together, this Tennessee team, and they have been playing well coming into this tournament.
They have already turned the ball over 5 times. Now they return the favor as Randall picks off the tipped pass.
Well, that was a play that Tamika Catchings created. We talked in the opening about Catchings coming through with big plays.
Randall looking inside for Snow or Catchings. Can't find either one. Jackson forced that one up against 3 defenders.
And look at the screen out by the black jersey. Tennessee really having a tough time getting to the offensive glass.
No easy one for the Lady Vols so far. They're still up by 2 as we approach the 12-minute mark. Shot clock at 10. Shawnetta Stewart low to Sutton Brown. Forced it up, didn't get it. Got her own rebound. Missed the follow. Those are the ones you can't afford to let get away from you.
No, you've got to make shots like that inside, and that's going to win you championships. And I think this game, too, at the end will come down to free throws and how good these teams shoot free throws.
Pretty good help defense by Tennessee. Snow against the double team. Lawson had her for a second, then waited. They get it back outside the miss. And the offensive rebound to Glenn Jackson. They'll reset it.
You see Lawson, the freshman, kind of settling things down and say, let's work it again.
The tempo certainly in Rutgers' favor so far.
Gilmore looked like she got all ball, but that's the shot. We talked about getting the ball into the high post. And the youngster, Gwen Jackson, a freshman, is going to have to be a little bit more conscious of wanting to take that shot and not be so hesitant.
Jackson made the SEC All-Freshman team this year. 6'2" freshman from Eufaula, Alabama. Hits the first free throw. She'll get another.
She wears number 13 because her dad and sister were born on the 13th.
Obviously not superstitious.
Well, city of brotherly love. Will Chamberlain wore 13. Had a pretty good career.
Pretty good sign. Jackson hits them both. The Lady Vols absent from the Final Four for 1 year. Pat Summitt wasn't going to let it go any longer than that. By 4 with 11:10 to go in the half. Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle?
Well, Mike, April McDivitt had to be carried off the court after that injury. She's in a great deal of pain. Trainer Jenny Moshak iced her left thigh and continues to ice it. She was kneed in that thigh. She has a severe contusion. She took some Tylenol. She's getting iced down. She'll stretch it up and try to return. Back to you.
Well, we have seen the magic of Jenny Moshak over the years, Michelle. If anybody can get her back in the ball game, it will be the Lady Vols trainer. Full court press, they get a steal. Catchings to Randall. They can't convert. Normally, that's how Tennessee breaks an opponent's back.
They come right at you and make you turn the ball over, get quick shots, and they're able to set up their defensive press.
Pointer being guarded by Randall. Miles had a good drive, then a miss. Gilmore with a steal. Tough pass, and it's out of bounds to Tennessee. And Pat Summitt upset that her kids not taking better care of the ball.
Rutgers, a second easy layup. I shouldn't say easy. None of them are easy. But once you get inside like that, you've got to be able to finish those shots off. And then on the defensive end, like you said, the pass, but Lawson is right there to kind of distract it for Gilmore.
Rutgers has made one field goal in the last 6 minutes and 24 seconds. Still, they're down only by 4, and Catchings throws it away. Pointer 2-on-1, takes it with a left hand. Pretty play.
Any kids at home watching, work on your left hand. If you're right-handed, boy. Tasha Pointer is showing what a versatile point guard she is, being able to use both hands.
Jackson, offensive rebound, went to Catchings, and she's fouled.
This is a tough play by Tasha Pointer because the wing, when she tries to get the spacing, Catchings is right there plugging things up and makes it very difficult. So she can't get the pass. She makes a little head fake and goes by on the side, and using that left hand, she's able to get it down.
Foul was on Pointer, her first. Lawson takes the inbounds, left wide open. She takes the shot. Jackson with the offensive rebound, triple team. And now Randall wants to reset. The junior from Cleveland, Ohio, showing that experience. Catchings underneath to Lawson. Double clutch and got it. Pretty play by Lawson.
Lawson, her first two points, she's very strong. She bench presses 235 and playing with a stress fracture in her back. A lot of the trainer, Jenny Moshak, thought it was because she was lifting weights.
That 235 is a little scary, isn't it?
Well, she played football when she was younger, so I don't think the weights really bothered her, but she is so strong, and I think this is a good move by Tennessee, running her on the baseline because she is strong underneath. She likes contact, and she goes right up against the defense.
Tamika Randall picked up that last foul. It was the 14th foul called against Rutgers here in the first half, or against Tennessee, 5 against Rutgers. Tough shot and buried. Yusha Gilmore.
Well, Vivian Stringer called her the X Factor. She's a senior on this team. She was a sophomore at the time when these two teams matched up, and Gilmore actually had a pretty good game against this Tennessee team and was looking forward to playing against them for a third time.
Catchings, top of the key to Lawson. Shawnetta Stewart, number 50, is in for the first time. Lawson will take a long-range jumper. Good rebounder, Randall. Baseline, kicks it back out. Jackson forced it up and missed it. Pillow knocked out of bounds by Pointer, and it's off Pillow.
You bring that ball down to the little guards, they're going to slap it away, and that's exactly what Tasha Pointer did, but Shawnetta Stewart, who came in and had a big game against Texas Tech. You can see her. She starts to drop it. You always keep that ball up. Good play by Tasha Pointer. When Catchings went out against Texas Tech, Shawnetta Stewart played really well filling in for Catchings. And they're going to need Tennessee another good game like that from Stewart because of her size. She's a big body.
Randall gets the rest, and number 5, Kyra Elsie, the 6'1" senior, comes into the ball game. She's had an injury-plagued career at Tennessee. And a new face for Rutgers, Courtney Walton, number 33. Pointer controlling the ball. Rutgers can tie or take the lead on this trip. Pointer, line drive jumper. Miles to Walton. Walton trying to penetrate, can't do it. This one's knocked away. Snow nearly got the steal. Rutgers gets it back. Pat Summitt is outraged. And now we've got a foul on the drive attempt by Miles.
And Michelle Snow kind of gimping a little bit. Michelle Snow stepping up in that passing lane again. Rutgers, they like that high pass at the top, and you see Snow go down, and Pat Summitt wanted a foul on Tasha Pointer with Snow going down.
I think she's got a good right, too.
So we talked about Lawson playing football when she was younger. Pointer also looks like she could have played a little bit of football.
That one had a lot of body block in it. First free throw is no good. Linda Miles out of Cincinnati, 70% free throw shooter. So 2 starters now on the bench for Tennessee. Randall, who's just getting a regular breather. And Kristen Clement with 2 fouls. Michelle Snow also sitting over there. Second free throw is good, and we have a 1-point game. 7 minutes, 40 seconds to go. First half. Tennessee over Rutgers by 1. Here's the storyline from Philadelphia for the women's Final Four. The semifinals start tonight. Tennessee in its 12th Final Four, and that ties to UCLA's men's record in the NCAA. Vivian Stringer, her 3rd Final Four with 3 different teams. Nobody's ever done that. And Penn State has finally gotten here after 16 tournament appearances. Rutgers down by 1. Tennessee with the basketball. 7:28 to go in the first half.
This defense, it looks like a 1-3-1, then it goes to a 2-3, and then they'll trap out of it. They get out on the baseline. It's just hard. See Vivian Stringer talk about it being made up of angle.
Lawson with 1 on the shot clock, and she missed it. Had a good look, but there's a travel as 2 Rutgers players went down fighting for it.
Well, Coach Stringer, no question, pretty happy about her players going after it. And she's saying, oh, no, it's a loose ball. She's happy, and then, oh, no.
Changes in a hurry, doesn't it?
Oh, no.
Tennessee with a big lineup in there right now with both Snow and Pillow.
Well, you're wondering when they're going to get the ball inside, because a lot of their shots, those long rebounds, are because of the long shots. Catching, struggling from the floor. We said that she's got to score some points in this game, and right now she's held scoreless.
Catchings with absolutely nothing to show for her night. It was a nice one-on-one move, but pretty decent help defense.
Well, she goes after the basketball. That's one thing Pat Summitt said about her, is that she has matured. She doesn't go 100 miles an hour. She plays hard. She'll always play hard, but she's learned to control that tempo a little bit more. That particular session didn't look like she was going 100 miles an hour.
Good news for Tennessee. April McDivitt able to shake off that thigh injury, and she's back in. Snow, where they want her to have the ball in the low post, and a nice soft touch. 4 for Snow. The lead is up to 3.
I think it's a plus that McDivitt can come in. She's hobbling a little bit, but you want to stay warm. If you're on the bench, you're just going to tighten up completely.
That was partially blocked defense by Catchings. Sutton Brown had it blocked, and the rebound to Snow. She's a little stronger than that frame might indicate.
Oh, yeah, and the look on her face shows a lot of determination.
Randall back in the ball game. And threw it right past Catchings.
Tennessee, you talked about this big lineup. They've got to take advantage of that height and go inside to Snow down in the middle. Then on the defensive end, you see Snow with the block and Catchings coming to help out, and Catchings has a block in the corner to initiate that play.
Andy, that's already 9 turnovers by the Lady Vols. Stewart Knight head fake to get free and drills a jumper. Pretty looking shot. She has 4.
I tell you, the score really is helpful for Rutgers. They want to keep a low-scoring game. C. Vivian Stringer has said, hey, if we can keep our opponents in the 50s and 60s, we've got a good chance of winning.
McDivitt with a hope and a prayer down the lane, couldn't hit it. Then she comes back and makes the steal from Shawnetta Stewart. Randall, walk. 10 turnovers for the Lady Vols.
This Tennessee team, in essence, still is a young team. They're not going to lose any key players. Shawnetta Stevens will graduate, but everybody returns for Tennessee. So you see Randall, you see Catchings, somebody is on the bench with those fouls, but you know, these veteran players, they've got to be a little bit more poised. They're making some mistakes that really are mental, and Rutgers is creating that.
Pointer and Gilmore against the press. Stewart. Nice pass from Miles. Miles had his shot blocked. And Gilmore with a follow. Yusha Gilmore gives Rutgers the lead at 17-16.
For Rutgers, that's almost what they needed. They just haven't been getting over that hump, and that's a big basket for them to take the lead.
McDivitt out of the corner, just nicked the rim, and saved by Stewart. Kicked out of bounds, out to Rutgers. The 2 All-Americans for Tennessee, Catchings and Randall, have yet to come through with any points. In fact, they've only had 4 shots. The rest of the team, 6 out of 17. The lead scorer is Ace Clement, who hit all 3 of her shots from the floor, but went out early with 2 quick fouls. There's a hold call away from the ball on Michelle Snow. That will be her first.
Tammy Sutton-Brown, 6'4" junior, is really having a solid game. You see she's standing there, and there's Snow coming around. Kind of a tough call. Both players are just feeling each other out.
Sutton-Brown again against Snow and got the roll. Rutgers by 3.
The fact that Sutton-Brown has not picked up any fouls is a big plus for the Scarlet Knights.
McDivitt calling to her teammates to come to her against this defense. Elsie stripped on the way in. Pointer ahead to Gilmore, who can really run the court. Rutgers by 5. An 8-0 run, and Snow is fouled. Speaking of running the court, she can get down there.
In the beginning, we mentioned that Tennessee wants to get into a running game, but you know what? When you play great defense, it creates your offense. And right now, Rutgers is controlling the tempo of the game, and they can run off that defense. Look at Gilmore get out. This is a tough shot. Great concentration, because good, smart play by Randall to try and make her miss that shot and duck right underneath her. A lot of players would really get distracted on that. Tasha Pointer doing a good job running this ball club.
Snow goes to the free throw line and misses the first. She made the coach's version of the SEC second-team All-Stars and nearly had a dunk the other night in the regionals against Texas Tech. Her hand was above the rim, but instead of going down with it, she sort of finger-rolled it in.
2 points is 2 points.
It is, but you must admit the impact would be a little different.
But I think that's what's so great about the women's game, is that we don't have the dunk, and you will always have that anticipation for it to happen.
Well, I know my game was always below the rim, so I like this. A lot of echoes from our truck. Great pass inside for the layup. Gilmore with a tremendous pass to Stewart. Great vision.
Coming into this game, C. Vivian Stringer said, our kids know that Georgia beat Tennessee by 20 points. We beat Georgia. We've got a chance to beat Tennessee. And it's all about attitude. It's all about confidence in beating other teams.
Catching's got it to Snow. Little fadeaway jumper, doesn't get the roll. Kept alive inside. Tyra Elsie with a follow.
I mean, this game is far from being over. But this Rutgers team, Steve Vivian Stringer calls them a team of warriors. That's the word she uses. Because they constantly come at you and they're fighting all the time.
Well, the tempo and intensity certainly seems to be in their favor so far. And they're up by 4. And Gilmore has had a tremendous NCAA tournament. And I think we had an illegal screen called on Miles. That will be her first. Timeout, 2 minutes, 48 seconds to go, first half. Rutgers surprises Tennessee.
Hey, we made it.
ESPN's exclusive coverage of the Women's NCAA Final Four is brought to you by the new Regal GS by Buick, official car of the Supercharged family.
Make it a 4-point Rutgers lead with 2:48 to go in the first half. Rutgers shooting 50% from the floor. Tennessee committing those 11 turnovers, and Rutgers has converted those 11 turnovers into 15 points, and the 2 All-Americans so far held scoreless for the Lady Vols.
But 30% for a team like Tennessee that averages over 45% and usually dominates, gets the kind of shots they want. 30% from the floor. That is the big key, that Rutgers always puts that pressure on you and makes you play helter-skelter.
No layups, no fast break points, and there's another turnover.
Pat Summitt looking at Tamika Randall, and with her shoulder up, saying, hey, you've got to be a little bit smarter on the kind of decision that you make.
You have to credit the Rutgers defense, but several Tennessee players have forced shots tonight in the middle of 3 defenders. Here's the press. Gilmore, nice skip pass. Sutton Brown with a layup. Missed it, got it back. Had it blocked from behind by Snow. That's 2 or 3 times that Sutton Brown has had a point-blank look at it and been unable to convert. Miles got it in the inbounds, then she lost it. And that's going to be a foul on Miles. She's called for the personal as she's laying flat on the court, and she's hurt.
She looked like she landed right on her hip. Again, you cannot fault as far as how hungry this Rutgers team is. She made the dribble, lost it off her foot, and went right diving on the floor for her.
So both teams have had an important player off the bench hurt early.
She landed right on that left hip. Boom.
It looks like one of those hip pointers, doesn't it? And Miles will get up and be assisted to the sideline. She leaves with Rutgers up by 4, and she's 13 on the first half clock.
She's been a solid player for this Scarlet Knight team off the bench. Big game against Georgia in the West Regional Final where she had 5 points and 10 rebounds.
Very good off the board. She's also a very good defensive player. McDivitt will check out. Lawson is back in for Tennessee.
I like the fact that the officials have really let them play. This has been a physical game, but they're letting them play.
I do too. Randall has been a non-factor into the lane. Triple teamed. Does draw the foul after missing the shot.
That time on that decision by Randall to take the ball to the basket, she sliced the defense. Rutgers, defensively, they just kind of let her slide by. Nobody stepped in her path. And this good decision by Randall, much better control as far as the kind of shot she went going in there.
Randall to line number 2 in the Southeastern Conference in free throw shooting this year.
That is the first point for Tamika Randall, and Tamika catching still held scoreless.
And she's averaged nearly 16 points a game in the tournament, up from 14.5 during the regular season. Tennessee has cut the lead back to 2. Here comes the full court pressure off the made free throw. Gilmore missed the shot after getting good penetration. Randall back the other way. This is what Tennessee wants. Lawson inside, catches. Missed it. Snow, offensive rebound, and she's fouled by Gilmore.
What the press created for Tennessee on that last possession for Rutgers is they got him in the running game. Rutgers had a pretty good shot. They didn't knock it down. They knocked that down. It's a great shot. But you know what? They missed it, and that's exactly what Tennessee wanted, because now they come down on the other end, and they have the opportunity to get points.
2 fouls on Gilmore. Tennessee will have a chance to tie it from the line. The first national semifinal of the night. Rutgers leading Tennessee by a pair. Mike Patrick, Ann Myers, Michelle Tafoya with us, our entire ESPN crew up here in Philly. Is this the kind of game you expected so far?
Not from Tennessee, I guess from Rutgers, and they've really controlled the tempo. It's been a defensive game, especially for the Scarlet Knights, and I know that C. Vivian Stringer is very happy with the way it's going as far as keeping Tennessee to only 21 points so far in the first half.
And I'm sure Pat Summitt is less than pleased so far.
Well, you have to say, too, with Ace Clement came out so hot for the Lady Vols and then picking up those 2 fouls. Now, she has not played. Obviously, she is going to be a big difference in the second half. She's going to play a lot more minutes, and that's going to be a key for the Lady Vols as far as how they go.
She's got that range on the long shot. Of course, Kara Lawson, one of the top 15 three-point shooters in the country all year long, and she hasn't been able to get on track. Lawson's hit 1 out of 7 and is 0 for 6 in three-point range. Here's the full court pressure. Pointer, being deliberate. Bounce pass to Stewart. Stewart's a good passer, gets it to Gilmore. And that's going to be a foul on Sutton Brown. Her first. Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Well, Mike, Linda Miles bruised her left hip when she fell on it. She has stretched out. Believe me, she's fine. In fact, when she was limping off the court, she was talking strategy with Coach Stringer, and she was shouting encouragement to her teammates who were still on the floor as she was stretching out. She's expected to come back. If not in this half, certainly the second.
And in a game, in a situation like this, of course, you're going to have to get hurt pretty badly, not to try to come back in the ballgame, at least to avoid the trainer and get your way back on the court. Courtney Walton checks back in for Rutgers, and Jen Clemente, a senior from Monroe Township, New Jersey, also comes in. And Randall will go back to the free throw line. Misses the front end of a 1-1, knocked out of bounds. It's out to Tennessee.
Out-of-bounds play so important.
Lawson will try another 3 and got it. Kara Lawson shot 45% this year.
And she has struggled from the three-point range. In the last 5 games, she's 8 of 20.
Now here's the zone you talked about earlier. And it's broken by Gilmore. Or check it, Courtney Walton knew it's the 3.
Walton only a 26% three-point shooter.
Randall trying to penetrate and can't. Game clock at 43, shot clock at 13. Elsie, baseline, nice dish inside to Ketchum. Pretty pass by Elsie.
Ketchum finally gets on the board
before halftime. And the first 2 points for Ketchum.
That's right. Basically,
coming up at the half, our first half analysis, Tino Oriemo will join us live, as will Renee Portland. They'll be tied up in our second national semifinal. Shot clock at 6. Stewart with a shot clock at 2. Tennessee with a chance before the half. Randall double teamed, and she is fouled with 0.6 of a second to go on the clock. Tasha Pointer comes over on a double team and commits her second personal. We may look back on that and think that's a very big play.
Well, you don't want to go for the steal. Shawnetta Stewart getting called for the foul, the behind-the-back play, and Pat Summitt really liked it. Again, her team going to the free throw line. We talked about free throws being important in this game, but what a tough call for Rutgers right before halftime.
Obviously, they gave the foul to Stewart. That was her second and not Pointer. Randall misses the second one. Tennessee, a very good free throw shooting team, unable to convert many tonight, but they have come back after being down and taken a 2-point lead. Catchings and Randall only with 5 of Tennessee's 28 points between them in the first half. So the All-Americans getting some help from their teammates. And at the half here in Philly, it's 28-26.
This halftime report is presented by Monostat, the #1 doctor-recommended brand for the treatment of yeast infections.
All right, Mike and Annie, thank you very much. Robin, Vera, and Jay back with you. Wow, what 20 minutes of basketball we just witnessed. Remember that the Tennessee Lady Vols average 80 points a game, and to be held in check like that, Vera, Rutgers not intimidated in the least.
You know, we always talk about how tough their defense is, but what impressed me the most was obviously their offense. Tasha Pointer came right at them. She had some great, wonderful moves to the basket, but she wasn't afraid. They're usually very, very patient in their offense. This time they just attacked it. They found some openings. She did some penetration. It was very, very good for them to make sure that they weren't tentative when they came out. Defense, of course, is excellent as well.
Tasha Pointer's really dominated the game from a point guard standpoint, but I thought the Tennessee's very fortunate to be up. They got a couple breaks toward the end of that first half. They scored on an out-of-bounds play underneath, but they did not attack this defense very well. You can see this is a time where they did it well. Great penetration by Samika Randall into the middle. That collapsed the defense. Everybody inside the lane. You kicked it out for an open shot by Ace Clement. Without Ace Clement, Tennessee's only scored 20 points in this ballgame. They have got to do a better job of attacking either the 1-3-1 when they see it or the 2-3 by penetrating into the middle, collapsing it, and kicking it out for open shots. They were not patient in that first half, and they're fortunate to be ahead.
And they're fortunate to have Ace Clement loving to be back home in Philadelphia. She only averages 5 this season. She already has 8 first-half points, but got 2 early fouls and had to sit the majority of the first half. All right, the Penn State Lady Lions are here at the First Union Center, as are the Connecticut Huskies. We'll talk to their 2 coaches, Gino Auriemma and Renee Portland, when we come back to Philadelphia. At the half, Tennessee with a 2-point lead over the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Come on back. Gino Auriemma, the home of Gino Auriemma in Norristown, PA. And Renee, don't feel bad. We haven't let you off. Broomall, Pennsylvania. Say hi to Mom and Dad.
Isn't that nice?
The childhood home of Renee Portland.
Isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice?
Shoot out a bedroom window that time.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did. On the 3rd floor. That was our trick.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. My sister Pat was the best at it.
Before 3-point shooting was cool, you were doing
Definitely, but it was family competition at its best.
What is it like for you two to be back home in Philadelphia playing in the Final Four? Gino?
Well, I mean, just being in the Final Four is obviously an unbelievable thrill, but to be home and to have your friends, your family, and see the places where you used to hang out when you were a kid, if you needed anything to make it even better, that was it.
What is it about Philadelphia? There was like over 40 coaches in Division I that had their roots here in Philadelphia. What is it about this place?
I don't know. It's a really very special place, and we were lucky that we grew up here. And my experience at Immaculata College and all those basketball things, coach at St. Joe's, and that's where I got to practice the other day. Everything's been coming back, and you know, Philly was known for a lot of great men's coaches. There were women in the background, too.
And we're going to talk about that between games. We have Kathy Rush, your old coach, that's going to be joining us between games. Gino, what is the key reason why you are back here in the Final Four, your team?
Well, we're a year older, you know, and last year everybody expected, I think, a lot of us because we had a great recruiting class, but we weren't mature enough to handle all the things that happened to us. We're a year older. We have a real point guard this year who's obviously a very good player, and you can't go anywhere without a great point guard, as both of these teams probably are a testament to, and that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, I mean, Helen Darling for you, Renee, the senior point guard, wanted to be here very much. She's been key.
My nephew was singing, "Oh, my darling," on the telephone, and she really has been a darling for us, and she's very focused, and her, along with Andrea Gardner, have really been the 2 seniors that have taken this program back to the penthouse of where we want to be. But she's put the team on the back a few times, made that last shot against Iowa State. That's a winner. She's a real warrior.
Before I let you go, I want to get your comments on the first half. Did you see much of the first half between Tennessee and Rutgers? Did you see
this game, I'm glad they're playing. Gino and I had the same comment. I don't know if Rutgers' defense is so great. You know, Tennessee just keeps at you and at you. him and I are having a good time sitting here watching somebody else play.
I'm saying the only time you want to play Rutgers is for the national championship, because playing them is hard. It's really hard because they're so good defensively, and they make you do things you're not used to. And Tennessee doesn't see them as often as Renee and I have seen them recently. So seeing them for the first time on film is one thing. In person, something completely different. But you know what? Tennessee rebounds the ball so well. Who knows?
You know what? I'm going to get rid of Jay and Vera. What are you guys doing? Can you guys just sit in and take in for Jay and Vera and take over?
I like to watch our game from up here instead of from down there.
Hey, you guys are great for coming in and joining us like this. We really do appreciate it. Look forward to your game.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, we've got the second half coming up between Rutgers and Tennessee. It's a 2-point lead for the Lady Vols at the break. Come on back to the First Union Center for more of the women's Final Four.
This halftime report is presented by Monistat, the #1 recommended brand for the treatment of yeast infections. NCAA Final Four is brought to you by Monistat, who brings you tonight's halftime report.
Welcome back, everyone, to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. First time that a women's NCAA Final Four has been held in the Northeast, and let me tell you, it has been well received. They have rolled out the red carpet, and I think Tennessee is seeing red right now as far as Rutgers red is concerned, Jay.
There's no question. Tennessee has to do a better job in the second half. They ended the half, I thought, very well. That's what champions do. The last 2 minutes of the first half, they executed much better. The first 5 minutes of the second half are going to be very important. What Tennessee did very well was offensive rebound. They grabbed 12 offensive rebounds in the first half. They also got to the free throw line. If they can continue to do that, they will stay in this ballgame with a chance to win it at the end. But if they execute better against that zone, they've got a real good shot to win.
But Tennessee also has to watch out for those turnovers. I mean, they had 12 in the first half. That definitely can't happen again. Tasha Pointer was absolutely incredible. I can't even make up a new team or a cute name for her. All I can tell you is she's quick. She dominated off the turnovers. Instead of taking that patient offense that they usually take, she just attacked the basket every time. Those types of creative transition baskets for Rutgers is exactly what they need, but they have to jump out immediately in the second half with that.
She has 7 first-half points, but it's not just her scoring. It's what she has done defensively and just the way she has controlled the tempo for Rutgers against Tennessee. All right, we've got the second half coming up, still to come. Tasha Pointer, I think Mike and Andy said it best. She's from Chicago, but she sure does have that Philly flair when she's out on the court. And speaking of the Philly flair, Ace Clement, 3 for 3 from the field, including 2 3-pointers. Her team up by 2 at the half, 28-26. The second half when we come back.
Practicing medicine at UT Medical Center makes
ESPN's exclusive coverage of the women's NCAA Final Four is brought to you by Daewoo Motor America. Daewoo, it's all about cars. And by Agillion, run your business on the West.
Back in Philadelphia at the half of the first national semifinal game, Tennessee leading Rutgers 28-26, and it took an 11-3 Tennessee run to close out the first half to give them that 2-point lead. Outside of that spurt, the Rutgers defense has been superb.
Well, they really have been. The 1-3-1, 2-3, whatever you want to call it. Jerry Tarkanian, when he was at Las Vegas, used to call it the amoeba. And they have really struggled, the Tennessee Lady Vols, as far as the kind of shot selection they're getting. Somebody is always covering them. Ace Clement, in the beginning of the game, knocks them down, but you can see the Lady Vols just getting smothered by this defense and taking poor percentage shots. And then also they're able to rebound out of it, the Rutgers team.
And Tennessee shoots only 35% in the first half, and the turnovers was what really killed them. They had a dozen in the first half. Second chance points, Tennessee doing a good job there. Offensive rebounding and total rebounding, the advantage of Tennessee. But their 2 All-Americans, Randall and Catchings, have combined for a mere 5 points. Kristen Clement will start the second half. She had the quick 8 before picking up 2 personal fouls and having to sit down. She hit 1 2-point field goal and a pair of 3.
And a big call at the end against Rutgers when Shawnetta Stewart picked up that second personal foul.
Could be a big factor.
Tennessee Tennessee changed things up going into the halftime with the 2-3 zone. Now they're back into the zone, and Rutgers has to decide what kind of team they're going to be against this 2-3 zone. Can they shoot the ball from the outside? Are they going to take the ball, the air out of the ball and kind of slow things up and make that 2-3 zone work? So they're going to have to dictate things on the offensive end on how they're going to play against that zone.
Catchings looking inside, trying to get the ball to Snow. Now Randall will try, and a poor pass picked off by Sutton Brown. Stewart blocked by Snow, standing flat-footed.
Remember when John Chaney talked about the defense, talking to the players? He came and told Tasha Pointer, said, "You little midget, don't go in among those trees."
Sutton Brown on a nice entry pass from Pointer gets the layup. We're tied at 28.
Just keep passing it like that. But Pointer can go inside. We've seen her make some good inside shots.
Randall trying to get away from Washington, wheels into traffic, missed the shot. And they'll call the foul on Randall.
Good heads-up play by Pointer. When she got the ball blocked, she brought it back out. And then the rotation, you can see how Sutton Brown pinned Snow and had the wide-open lane.
Full court pressure. Rutgers does a nice job against it and gets it to the player they want. Stewart into Sutton Brown. She missed, got her own rebound. Had that one partially blocked by Snow. And Snow doesn't mind flinging an elbow every once in a while. Lawson end to end. They gave her the opening and she took it, and Tennessee's regained the lead. 7 for Lawson.
As much as you talk about the half-court defense for Rutgers, hey, somebody's got to pick up the ball and stop it.
Pointer against Clement.
And they're switching things up. They're going into the man-to-man, going into the zone.
Pointer trying to get by, uses the left hand again. This one rolled out on her. And Catchings for the loose ball. Lawson calling out the set she wants. Take a tough off-balance shot. It won't fall for her. And here comes Linda Miles the other way to Washington. Can't hit the runner. Stewart with a follow, and she'll score every time from there. Rutgers has tied it again. Stewart has 8.
Carol Lawson looks a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end as far as looking to score for Tennessee.
Catching. Takes the jumper, and it's an air ball. Stewart running the court, got the layup. She and Pointer moved the ball very, very well. And the All-Americans for Tennessee playing like they have a case of nerves right now.
Tennessee, again, we talked about the kind of shot selections they're getting. They look like they're trying to slow things down, calm it down, and not get frustrated as much.
Fadeaway jump shot by Catchings. That's a tough one to make. For only her second basket of the entire game. Washington having to handle the ball because Clement denying Pointer. Good idea to get the ball out of Pointer's hand. Washington down the lane, lost it, but she's fouled. Tomorrow night on ABC Sports at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, U.S. champion Michelle Kwan will try to recapture the gold. She'll face the best in the world at the World Figure Skating Championships from Nice.
You talked about keeping the ball out of Tasha Pointer's hands. Pat Summitt said they were going to run a lot of players at Tasha Pointer to try and keep her off balance, make her work.
Stewart off the inbound. Too strong with the jumper. The follow no good by Gilmore. Another follow no good. Pointer trying to keep it alive and does. This one is out of bounds off Tennessee. Kyra Elsie had a hand on it, couldn't hold it.
You just love how Rutgers is going to the offensive glass. Tennessee not blocking out. Jay Billis talked about rebounding being a key in that first half for Tennessee. Well, they're going to have to pick up on the boards again on this Rutgers team.
Rutgers smaller, but certainly more determined. Bodies fly again.
That was a nice spin move, but she grabbed the ball.
That's right. .15 on the shot clock. Stewart, guarded by Kyra Elsie, considered maybe the top defender in the country as a freshman. Now Clement, 4 on the shot clock. Stewart with a very, very tough shot. Loose ball, Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights getting multiple opportunities. Pointer has it back in her hands, averaging 8 assists a game in the NCAA tournament, and she drives and scores. 34-32, Rutgers by a bucket. Elsie, baseline, Lawson, Clement had the shot and passed on it. Elsie will fire, missed it, but the follow to Catchings. Catchings timed that beautifully. She saw the shot was off target and came flying in from the wing.
And those are the kind of plays that the All-American Player of the Year is going to have to make.
And they're going to call a hold because
she wrapped her arm around.
That's right. If she just keeps her hands out, she's fine, but she wrapped that free arm around and picked up her third. Clement arguing her case. It's not going to work. She picks up her third. She got 2 early in this ball game. We've got a timeout. Pointer and Rutgers have tied it again against Tennessee.
Which Sports Center do you watch? Morning?
Tied at 34. Michelle Tafoya has a very special guest. Michelle.
Indeed I do, Mike. Shamika Holzclaw, part of 3 consecutive Tennessee championships, and this has got to be a little tough for you to watch.
I mean, right now I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if it's harder being out there or being a fan in the stands.
And you're a fan in the stands wearing Michelle Snow's jersey. Why the extra support for Snow?
You know, Snow, she's kind of like, I guess, kind of clinged on to me. I've been kind of like a mentor to her, and I told her, you know that Catchings and Randalls are the All-Americans, but when she shows up to play, this team is at another level, and I know her mom couldn't be here today at the last minute, so I'm just here to show some support for her.
I'm sure she appreciates it. Thanks for the time. Back to you, Mike.
Sutton Brown with a miss against the trap. Walton dives. The ball's knocked out of bounds, and it's out to Tennessee.
Sutton Brown has hurt Rutgers in the sense of the shots that she's missed underneath. But you know what I like about Rutgers, how they break the press? They get rid of the ball before the trap can come. That's always how you break it, instead of waiting for the trap to get to you. And Rutgers Tasha Pointer does such a good job in getting rid of the basketball.
And once they break it, boy, do they attack. And Sutton Brown drawn into her second foul by Lawson. If somebody's going to trap you, you have to make them pay on the other end.
Exactly. And Rutgers has had some wonderful opportunities, but they're not cashing in on them.
Sutton Brown is only 2 out of 10 from the floor, and she's had some great opportunities in her defense. Michelle Snow has gotten a piece of about half of those defensively. Lawson at the line, 80% free throw shooter. Tennessee hit only 7 of 11 in the first half.
But they went to the line 11 times compared to that 3 of 5 for Rutgers. Rutgers in the beginning looked like they were going to get Tennessee in foul trouble and had a chance to get to the free throw line. But Tennessee is the team that took advantage of it.
Lawson, as you saw, has struggled from the floor. Only 3 out of 10 hits both free throws, and the Lady Vols backed up by a bucket. And here comes the full court pressure. Gilmore, good ball handler.
There you see Randall now on corner.
Defensive Player of the Year for 2 years in a row is... That's a loose ball inside. I think it's going to be a foul on Snow as she was off balance and banged into it. That'll be 2 on Michelle Snow.
And on this Tennessee team, nobody plays as good a defense as Tamika Randall, probably one of the best defensive players in the country. And when she's in your face, she makes it very, very difficult. And Tennessee has always been a team where if you don't play defense, you're not going to be out on the floor.
And she's got a big height advantage against Pointer as well. Now Clement back on her. This is Walton. Telegraphed the pass, nearly stolen. The follow is good in the bucket. The foul is on Randall, her third.
Good post-up position right here. You see Snow behind her. Catchings looked like she had it. And then the spin right there, the ball going in. Cunningham coming into the game. Pointer just saying, hey, focus here, girl. Pointer is in everybody's face, and you love that intensity. You love to have a leader out there that is always talking to the other players, not belittling them at all and getting in their case, but being positive.
Cunningham is somebody they don't look to for offense. She only averages 5.5 points a game. She does drive well and has a good jumper.
What's hurt her in the NCAA tournament is that she's been in foul trouble.
Misses the free throw. Lawson with a rebound. We're tied at 36. Catchings was open momentarily, but they couldn't find it. Lawson gets the good penetration. A little scoop shot. Lawson taking advantage of her second half opportunities. She has 11.
Hey, how about this? When she entered kindergarten, Carol Lawson could read the 4th grade level. Talk about a smart kid.
Couldn't read the 4th grade level while I was in the 6th grade.
What are you doing here?
I'm a sportscaster.
That's right.
Gilmore with a miss. Catchings with a rebound. Lawson. Randall, skip pass. Clement, nice pass to Snow. A no-look bullet by Ace Clement, and Tennessee is up by 4.
Clement has been the MVP so far for Tennessee in this game.
She has had a sensational game, even though she spent most of the time on the bench in foul trouble. 40-36, Tennessee, back in a moment. Tennessee now leading by 4, 40-36. Beautiful look on the last play, Ann.
Pat Simmons said this is where you've got to beat Rutgers. On the baseline with the skip pass, it's going to go down to Snow. Nobody sees Snow wide open because the zone shifts. You see number 40, Miles, leaving Snow all by herself, and Clement faking everybody out with a look in the corner with a nice skip pass.
Tennessee drops back into a zone. Pointer goes inside. Cunningham got the nice soft roll. Cunningham has 4. Once again, a 2-point game. These teams have battled from the very beginning.
That was a nice play coming out of the timeout. You always like to score quickly like that off of the timeout.
McDivitt back in the ballgame, directing traffic. Catchings will try a 3. Number 6 all-time in made threes at Tennessee, and all of a sudden it's a 5-point lead.
She's the type of player that never loses her confidence.
Pointer against McDivitt. Double dribble. Called on Cunningham.
Tamika Catchings struggling in the first half, just stepped up to the plate right here, constantly moving. She knows that she can do other things and gets herself wide open and nails down the 3.
Tennessee looking for one of its patented runs that we saw so many times during their national championship run of 3 in a row, and Snow was forced under the backboard, put it up anyway. Pointer with a hesitation, got inside, missed the shot.
Look at Tasha Pointer coming up with that ball. She kept it alive.
She did, and then got the rebound. Drives the baseline, tries a reverse. Cunningham skied for the rebound, and she's fouled. Boy, did she get up. Foul call on Catchings. That's her first.
Pointer going down, and you see Cunningham just has been a big plus in the second half so far for the Scarlet Knights.
43-38 Tennessee, 11:37 to go. The 5-point lead over Rutgers. Philadelphian cheesesteaks have always gone hand in hand, but can the cheesesteak and college basketball coexist?
Of course you can eat a cheesesteak while you're dribbling and playing. Your friends don't particularly care for it because the cheesesteak, a good one, with sauce, will run down your hand and you get it all over the ball. It isn't that the ball is that slippery, it's just that the backboard begins to draw flies.
Well, we haven't had the problem yet, but it's early in the weekend. I had a cheesesteak for breakfast this morning. It was pretty good.
You did?
Yeah, they shape them like bagels if you want them early. Tennessee Pep Band enjoying itself right now as their club's gone up by 5. 11:37 to go in the ball game, and here's defensive pressure. Pointer now guarded by Kyra Elzy, who has a distinctive height advantage on her. You said Pat Summitt was going to rotate players on her. Loose ball. Elzy comes up with it.
Good double team by Tennessee to make it difficult for Cunningham to get the shot up.
Now Clement will run the club. She and Lawson are the guards. Elzy looks for Snow.
That zone doesn't seem as helter-skelter as it did in the first half.
Good ball movement. Elzy wheels into the lane. She was double teamed, and it's out of bounds. Touched by Rutgers with 5 on the shot clock.
Kyra Elzy's not going to hurt you from the outside, so you don't want to let her get in the lane.
Looks a little bit out of control when she's on those drives. Hasn't been able to settle down and hit it. Lawson had to force it up with only 5 on the shot clock, but it's a shot clock violation, and she missed the rim.
Pat Summitt, a little disturbed, no foul was called, but the shot did not hit the rim.
10:48 to go in the ball game. Tennessee by 5. And they'll wait for it in the three-quarter court.
Lawson just kind of dissect.
Gilmore's a good player to have back there. She's got the ability to pass 2-on-1 at the other end. Snow with a block. Lawson comes out. It's a 2-on-3 break, and she'll pull it back. Clement baseline. Forced it up. Stewart with a rebound.
Shawnetta Stewart has been a little quiet. She's got 10 points, 4 in the second half. We talk about her having a big game.
She's got to have a big last 10 minutes if Rutgers is going to get back in this game. Cunningham gives it up to Gilmore. 8 on the shot clock. It's up to Stewart against Elzy. Likes that spin move into the lane. Missed the shot. Kept it alive. And then commits the foul.
Shawnetta Stewart likes the one-on-one move. The situation be able to create. She gets a little spin move in here, and the thing that she has the presence of mind to know that she might miss the shot. They call a little grab on Stewart. That'll be her 3rd personal.
She's hit 5 out of 12 shots and has 6 boards as well. She was the MVP of the West Regional, and in the tournament has averaged 11.5 points a game. We've been sitting on this 5-point margin for a long time. Not anymore. Lawson hits the jumper, and Tennessee has its biggest lead of the ball game. The 9-2 run has done its job. We're under 9.5 minutes to go in the game for the right to advance to the national championship game. Gilmore against Lawson. Bad pass. Randall bumped and fouled, and it's getting more and more physical. Cunningham from behind will pick up her 2nd. Classic Madness on Classic Sports. 26 hours of the greatest games in NCAA Final Four history. Michael Jordan, Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, all the classic games. Classic Madness on ESPN Classic begins Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. 9:09 to go in the game. Tennessee by 7 over Rutgers. 5:38. Tennessee over Rutgers by 7. 9:09 to go in the ball game. And these are the 4 coaches who have brought their teams to Philadelphia in the quest for a national championship. Oriana, Stringer, Summitt have them. Renee Portland would love to earn her first for Penn State. She will face Connecticut in the 2nd semifinal.
Offensively, Tennessee moving a little bit better with their cuts.
Seem to be energized here in the second half, and Randall, after missing the shot, will pick up her 4th foul trying to follow.
It's really important for the Scarlet Knights right now for Tasha Pointer to get the ball. You're going to see Kyra Elzy coming in the game, but I thought good ball movement by Tennessee. Randall trying to make something happen, then just goes over the back. Kind of got sandwiched in between. Kind of a tough ball on Randall. and they call a foul on Elsie as she comes in to get, or she's going to replace. But, you know, it's really important for Pointer to get involved as far as wanting the basketball. The last possession that Rutgers had, she did not touch the ball, and they had a difficult time getting into their half-court set. Tasha Pointer's got to get the ball in their hands whether Rutgers set some picks or they run some back doors. So Pointer's got it and controlling things.
Stewart at the line for the first time tonight, got the roll. And she'll get another one on the 1-and-1. It's 45-39. And a lot of contact underneath on the made free throws. Players were really banging into each other.
You know, we talked about Shawnetta Stewart going to Iowa and playing for Vivian Stringer. She went to her camp, I should say for Rutgers, but she went to her Iowa camp when she was in 8th grade and made a great impression on Shawnetta Stewart.
Well, she said it was a leap of faith to go to Rutgers because they really hadn't established their program. Great drive by Catchings. Explosive first step, got 3. She has 11 points. The lead is 8. Travel on Pointer.
Tamika Catchings with the quick move on baseline. She can shoot that jump shot, but when the defense came flying out at her, off balance, player of the year, this year, player of the year for Tennessee last year. Tamika Holtzball.
47-39. Tennessee with a chance to get it into double digits. Snow comes out high. She'll take a 16-footer. Biggest lead of the game. Snow with a big offensive night. She has 10. This will be a gut check time for Rutgers. Miles got the roll. Soft touch from 15 for the junior from Cincinnati. Lawson pushes it right back. Brick the shot, though. Pointer kicks it ahead to Stewart. Offensive foul on Stewart. That's going to be 4. And it sure looked to me like Catchings got there in time. It looked like a good call. Catchings with the defensive play of the game. Body in front, draws the charge.
We just got ours in the Motor Mile.
Way to go. I just got my first few cars in Motor Mile.
I got this one right here on the Motor Mile. We saved $1,000.
Big Catchings enjoying watching his All-American daughter, Tamika, help Tennessee come back in the second half, Ann.
She struggled in the first half. This zone really frustrated this Tennessee team. It's almost like Catchings did not know where to go. She looked really lost. She was 1 of 4 in the first half. Second half, she looked a lot more poised, a lot more calm. She's looking for her threes. She's looking to penetrate. She is 4 of 5 in the second half.
8 boards to go with those points. Time now becoming a factor 7-17. Tennessee up by 8.
And a big difference coming out of that timeout also, Mike, is the fact that Tennessee has only turned the ball over once in this second half.
Ace Clement misses her first shot. She had hit a couple of threes and a 2 early in the ball game. Scoop shot. What a pretty effort. Right down the lane went Pointer. She has been so tough.
She's going to need a little help like she did in the first half, though.
Here's the pressure. The steal by Miles. And she's fouled by Elsie.
We talk about turnovers. Tennessee had 12 in the first half and cut it down to 1. But look at Tasha Pointer. She just handles the ball so well. She's so low to the ground. It's so tough to guard people when they're that low to the ground because of their center of gravity. You cannot go for steals. You've got to play between them and the basket.
And that scoop shot so effective. Miles is 70% free throw shooter. Got it. We'll get another. So after being down by 10, they've cut the lead to 5. Rutgers lost 7 games this year, but 3 of those were to #1 ranked Connecticut.
would have thought two Big East teams would have been in the Final Four.
Exactly. 49-45. Lawson beating the pressure. Dribbled through three defenders. Catch it. Into the lane. She'll try the scoop shot. Draws the foul.
In pitching for the freshman, I asked Kat Summit, what does she need to work on? Well, she needs to work on her pass off the dribble. Where here, she gets the dribble in the shot and gets called for the foul. But she said she has improved on that also as far as her assists. She's second on the team in assists. She's first in points, rebounds, and steals, and second in assists and blocks.
She broke Shamika Holtzclaw's freshman scoring record when she came to Tennessee.
Pat Summit just said she has the capabilities of taking over a game.
And she's shown those in the second half. She has 13 points. The lead is back to 6. Here's the full court pressure. Rutgers done a pretty good job against this for the last couple of possessions. They look a little shaky. Miles, good touch pass to get it down to Walton, and an offensive foul. And Vivian Stringer can't believe it.
Tamika Catching know that defensively, you don't just block shots. It's about getting position.
Elsie ahead of the pack, and she is clobbered. Yusha Gilmore was not going to let her go in uncontested and really belted her.
Well, look about it. Also, the key play as far as getting that pass out on the outlet. But here she gets defensive position. She's there. She's set. She does a good job keeping her knees bent. She stays low. And at 6'2", you don't always have to go for block shots.
Elsie with 4 points tonight. And she has now hit 2 out of 3 free throws. And she's only a 47% free throw shooter. Had an injury-marred career. She nearly quit. Had a right ACL blowout that cost her most in 98 and all of 99. But she has persevered, and she is really helping her team tonight. They're up by 7 as we approach 6 minutes. Pointer can't get by Elsie. She wants a clear out. Shot clock down to 10. Good hesitation by Pointer to get through, but a poor shot. Try to toss that one up to the glass.
What makes it difficult, only one person touched the ball.
Elsie lost it on the way in. Clement knocks it away, and Lawson will get the loose ball.
Well, so far in the second half, the Lady Vols have come back by committee. Everybody has had a hand in it.
They really have, and it's obvious that they have picked up their intensity. Usually when you see good ball movement, it's because there's good player movement and gives you some place to throw it to. Forced that one in, did Clement. Gets it back. Shot clock is down to 7. And a reach-in foul will be called on Pointer.
Natasha Pointer against Georgia in the West Regional Final went all 40 minutes. She looks a little winded right now. She's going to come out. They're subbing for her. So it's a good call. The foul on her was a tired foul.
They won't be able to keep her out long. That was her second personal. We're at the 5:02 mark. And Ace Clement will go to the free throw line.
All 4 teams that will be playing in the Final Four went on a European trip this year before the season. And Ace Clement had an opportunity to play for this Tennessee team and get a lot of playing time. As a matter of fact, last year, Purdue, the national championship for the women, they went on a European trip before the season. Connecticut men, the national champions, went on a European trip. And so it really bonds teams together.
And the coaches love to be able to get that extra work in there. Stewart. Saved. Loose ball again. Snow has to be careful with those elbows, and Stewart went down. Randall with a miss. Stewart's back up now. I think she got hit before the majority of those wild elbows were swung. but she obviously took a blow to the head, and the Rutgers crowd doesn't like it. Stewart on the skip pass from Washington, left alone for three. She missed. Lawson with a rebound. 4:08 and counting.
And that was a tough shot. That would have been a big basket for Rutgers.
Stewart, who was a 42% long-range shooter last year, shooting only 28% this season. Now Pat Summitt wants to get some of that time off the clock. And here is a reach-in foul as Walton bodied up. That'll be her fourth.
Well, several times, Tennessee, what they're doing against the zone, they're making Rutgers kind of drop back into a 1-4. They're spreading it out. Tennessee is dropping 4 people on the baseline and making a one-on-one matchup. So that enables better cuts into the middle or a drive down.
Pointer didn't get much of a rest. She's back in. As Walton has to sit down with 4 fouls. And Lawson, the freshman from Alexandria, Virginia, hits the first free throw. Lawson with 15 big points in this semifinal game. We'll talk more about her when we come back. Well, Kara Lawson showed the moves and acceleration of Walter Payton, but it was another Bear whose intensity, determination, and leadership that really caught her eye.
I always admired growing up. I always loved playing linebacker. That was my favorite position. I love Mike Singletary for the Bears. And I can just remember watching him and how his eyes were always so big right before the ball was snapped and how he knew what was going on. And I kind of saw him as the leader of their team and really the quarterback on defense.
Lawson has shown that kind of intensity tonight with 15 points in a big second half. Rutgers able to beat the press here. Now the trap gives him a problem.
Well, that's the reason Pat Summitt switched Lawson to the quarterback on this team.
Walton blocked by Snow.
I think the frustration, see Vivian Stringer says, we've gotten the ball down low. We're not getting to the free throw line. They are 6 of 10, and she feels that her inside players ought to be getting called more so they can get to the free throw line.
Certainly they have had multiple opportunities, and there has been contact on more than a few of them. Lawson down the lane, and she's fouled on the way in.
Well, there's no question free throws has been a key, and what's happened too in the second half, that Tennessee is able to score better. Rutgers did such a good job defensively, shooting percentage-wise, holding Tennessee. Tennessee not shooting the ball great still, but you know what? They're taking better care of the basketball, and they're getting themselves to the free throw line, so it's taking Rutgers out of their zone, and everybody's got to line up on the lane.
Lawson will go to the line 14 out of 20 from the line for Tennessee.
She wasn't only a linebacker, she was a running back. She led the team in rushing, interceptions, and tackles.
Yeah, but she loved that linebacker spot.
She'd still love to play. And you know, she was a great soccer player. They won 4 state championships in soccer.
Lawson has made 4 in a row from the line, 17 points. The lead is 11. A 7-0 run for Tennessee, and they're trying to crank up the defensive pressure. They've already taken 11 seconds off the shot clock, and Rutgers isn't even close to getting into its offense. Walton. Nice move inside to get the bucket as Miles scores.
That was a long drought for Rutgers.
Snow comes back to help on the press and then threw it away.
I was going to say that 6'5" frame, it helps when you can go up and get the ball like that, but then you've got to take care of it, and she makes the poor decision.
The Rutgers crowd on its feet. 2:38 left. They're down by 9, and now Pat Summitt encouraging the Tennessee fans to get up. And there's a lot of them here in this crowd of 20,000. Washington will try a 3. That's huge. Lawson through a double team goes down in a foul. Hard to imagine it can get more physical, but it has been.
Carlita Hutchinson, the junior, she's a transfer out of Howard, has not scored in this game. She's a 38% three-point shooter, 12 of 31 before she knocks this one down. And Shawnetta Stewart, very happy, feels that her team is right back in it, only 6 down with 2:14 left to go.
But you fouled the wrong person. Lawson with 17 points, and she has hit all 6 free throw tries to make it 7.
Coming into this game, she had 12 games perfect from the free throw line.
14th in the country at a shade better than 80% coming in.
Her high was 9 and 9 against Mississippi State.
Well, she's made 8 out of 8 tonight. It couldn't come at a better time for her club. 2:14 to go, back up by 8. Stewart checks back into the ballgame. It's up to her and Pointer, especially to beat this pressing defense. And now Tennessee drops back to man-to-man out of the full court pressure. Stewart wanted it against Randall. Can't hit it. Catchings with a rebound. Against the double team. Gets it out to Lawson. And Pat Summit up quickly to tell Lawson to slow it down. We need time more than we need points. Lawson guarded by Pointer. And we've got a timeout by Tennessee. 1:38 to go for the right to advance to a national championship game. Back after this.
Some people you could always... ESPN's exclusive coverage of the Women's NCAA Final Four is brought to you by Nike.
We're at the Final Four in Philadelphia. Connecticut and Penn State, our second game when we are done with Tennessee and Rutgers. 1:38 to go in this one, and it's Tennessee by 8. They have gotten some breathing space in what had been a very close ball game. Lawson with a runner, won't go. Sutton Brown with a rebound.
They ran the play how they wanted it to coming out of that timeout.
Pointer hustles it back down court. 1:19 to go. Shawnetta Stewart gets the screen. Miles, baseline drive, left hand, got it. That's a tough shot by Linda Miles. Ahead to Randall. And that should be an intentional foul, I think, on Stewart. Couldn't get to the ball. They're not going to... Yes, they are. Or I think they are.
Well, just not a smart play by Shawnetta Stewart. She just gets beat on this play. There's no chance. You got to give it up. But nice play by Miles. But Tamika Catchings with the heads up play. And look at Lawson. There's that football sense, getting the ball down court. I don't think it's an intentional foul. She's got the ball down low. She's reaching.
You're right. She's got to reach.
Still, you've got to let it go. You give up the layup. You've got 4 fouls. You don't take yourself out of the game.
Because she has got to be their #1 offensive option. And when she reaches in to commit that foul, and very little chance to be able to stop that layup anyway, she takes herself out of the ball game.
But a great applause for the Philadelphia native. They know that they've seen one of their best. She struggled in this game, but she's got a lot of talent.
If this ends the career for Baby Barkley, she will have done herself proud in her Rutgers uniform. 61-52. The Scarlet Knights have to hurry. Pointer for 3. Loose ball comes down to Randall. And she's fouled immediately by Gilmore. That's going to be 4 on Gilmore. Tennessee as a team, not a great free throw shooting team, only hitting 69.5%, but tonight they've hit 19 out of 25. That's 76%. Rutgers calls a timeout. The lead is back to 10 and only 45.1 seconds to go. And we also should point out again that if this ends Rutgers' season, what an accomplishment for Vivian Stringer to bring her 3rd team to the Final Four.
But, you know, it's so special for her to be here in Philadelphia, have that dream come true. And this has really been a special group of kids for her, as Iowa was, as Cheney State. And what's been sad is, you know, she's had some bad memories because of what has happened in her family and with those Final Fours. But you know what? She's got to be proud of herself and proud of this team and the kids that have come to her program and what she's built. Rutgers won a championship in '82 under Teresa Grant, the last AIAW championship. And so Rutgers does have one championship, but yes, it would have been nice to make the finals.
And you saw she had to start from scratch, losing the first 2 years and then building it up. Randall at the line will get another one.
I think Tennessee in the second half really made some good adjustments on the defensive end. They switched things up on the zone, switched back to man-to-man. They took the ball right out of Tasha Pointer's hands, and then offensively they got a lot more movement. And there's that baseball pass again.
Trying to go for the home run. Randall tries to save it and can't. And they're going to go into the crowd and check on the All-American Samika Randall. Our Nike player of the game, Kara Lawson. 19 points, an excellent floor game. 8 out of 8 from the free throw line in the late stages to help clinch it.
I thought she really came out in the second half with a mindset that she was going to be more offensive-minded. She hit a three-pointer in the first half, but you know what? Even when you don't score from the field, as you said, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, she got herself to the free throw line, and she made some really good passes setting people up.
Snow will go out. Pillow will come in. Snow leaves with 7 blocked shots. And certainly her defense against Sutton Brown was a big factor in this game.
Yeah, Sutton Brown missed some shots. And Snow, you know, sometimes statistics don't show up on this team on individuals, and Snow did a very good job defensively in this game because of her height. And a lot of people think that she's soft because she's so skinny, but she's so intense, and she wants people to come right at her.
She's certainly willing to play hard. 30 seconds to go. 64-52. Tennessee has salted this one away. Washington short on a jump shot. Randall with a rebound. And Pat Summitt is going to have a chance as Randall lost it to Miles. Well, I'm impressed with Miles. She's had a heck of a game. Pat Summitt is going to have a chance after a year's absence to go back to the championship final game. This one's out of bounds with 11.8 seconds to go. Well, but the lead is 10.
Miles, to talk about her play, she will come back as a senior next year.
Certainly Shawnetta Stewart, the senior, leaves, but Yusha Gilmore, the only other player who is a senior on this squad who gets a lot of quality minutes. So Rutgers should have a pretty good ball club again. Walton will try a three. Lawson got a piece of that one, and that'll do it. The Tennessee Lady Vols have won the first regional semifinal for Pat Summitt, victory number 728 in her magnificent career, and she will have a shot at yet another national championship. Who will she face? Connecticut and Penn State waiting in the wings. Each would like to believe they would make a worthy opponent for the Lady Vols tomorrow. Was this an important test, do you think, for Tennessee tonight to be pushed like this?
I really think it was. I mean, they've lost 3 games. They were pushed by Connecticut, Georgia, and Louisiana Tech this year. And I think that they needed a game to test their emotions and how they would come back and being poised. I thought they made some wonderful adjustments in the second half.
Michelle Tafoya with the winning coach, Pat Summitt. Michelle, take it away.
Mike, thanks very much. Congratulations back in the national championship game. You had seen Rutgers' defense. You knew it was tough preparing for them on film, but what was it like to actually face it?
Well, it was great defense. I mean, I knew that watching them on tape. We played them in the last 2 seasons, and you know, they just do an excellent job of covering the basketball, covering passing lanes, and we had a tough time. We had a hard time finding open shots, but less getting to the offensive glass. Really proud of our team, we didn't run out of patience.
Yeah, what adjustments were specifically key to getting your more offensive production, especially out of Tamika Catchings and Lawson?
Well, I thought we had to move the ball better. We worked Catchings more in the baseline position and the elbow. I thought the two soft spots in the zone for us, and I thought she was more active and worked better without the ball, but Rutgers really keyed on Tamika and did an excellent job on her, but Kara Lawson came up big for us tonight.
Congratulations. I know you'll be watching two excellent teams in UConn and Penn State next, looking for what's there. And now let's throw it over to Robin Roberts. Robin?
All right, Michelle, Pat, thank you very much. Pat Summitt, an incredible 9-3 in the national semifinals. When the Lady Vols get this far, they want an opportunity to play for a national championship, and they will get that chance on Sunday. They will face either Connecticut or Penn State, as Connecticut is in the tunnel, ready to take the floor here at the First Union Center for the right to move on to face Tennessee, and Penn State getting ready as well. The first ever Final Four appearance for the Penn State Nittany Lions, Lady Lions. But first of all, let's talk about Gino Auriemma. We talked to him at the half, and he talked about the fact that it takes a little while to get used to playing Rutgers. He has the benefit of playing them 3 times during the regular season. It looked like Tennessee kind of made the adjustments they needed to do in the second half, especially Tamika Catchings.
Definitely. Now, Pat Summitt said one of the things that they did is they were able to find the hole in the defense, and it was right around the junction. But it wasn't just great passing. It was just great Tamika catching. She has the ability to create shots for herself. Look, she sees the defense, doesn't care. Turn around, fade away. Got it. I'm loving this. Look at the alley. Ooh. And here she goes shopping for 3, showing her versatility. Go on, shop, girl. Eyes it, tries it, buys it. You gotta love that. She is absolutely an incredible player. I'm very excited about her performance. And Kara Lawson, you can't just turn your nose up at her either.
Much better performance by Tennessee in the second half. They executed better. They were much more patient. All of their movement had a purpose. They were very decisive. And I thought Kara Lawson was a big reason why. Tennessee ran a lot of their man-to-man sets in the second half against that 1-3-1 and 2-3 zone. When Kara Lawson got the basketball, she was very decisive with it as well, putting it on the floor. And here you see a great read by Samika Randall. There's going to be a screen on the ball right here, but instead of going for it, she sees an open area along the baseline. Lawson steps into it. She's ready to shoot when she catches it. Kara Lawson had 19 points in this ball game. She was strong with the ball. She didn't turn it over. She made great decisions. Hard to believe she is just a freshman.
Yeah, she looked a little bit like a freshman in the first few minutes, throwing up a little bit of those air balls, and only had 5 first-half points. But like you said, Jay, she comes back with 19. She's with our Pam Ward along with Tamika Catchings. Pam?
All right, thank you, Robin. With Tamika Catchings first, congratulations. Rutgers defense very tough in the first half. What was the difference in the second half for you guys?
Well, I think first half, Rutgers came out with a lot of intensity. We didn't come out with half the intensity that they had, but second half, after going into the locker room and having a talk, we just came out. We knew we had to move around, and in the first half, we stood around too much.
And obviously, you guys never gave up. You kept believing because you saw what Rutgers did to Georgia last week.
Oh, yeah. You can't give up. We're here at the Final Four. We can't give up yet. We wanted to be in the championship game Sunday, and now we have a great shot at being there Sunday.
Okay, Tamika's back in the championship game. Kara Lawson is in her first one. Terrific poise by you. You don't play like a freshman at all.
I'm just a competitive player, and it helps that I have a lot of great veterans on my team and a lot of All-Americans like Tamika that take a lot of pressure off me. And we really wanted to push tempo tonight against Rutgers in the second half, and we did a good job of that.
Okay, it could be Penn State, could be UConn for the 3rd time. You have a preference? Would you like to get UConn again?
Well, I'm just happy we're in the championship game. And, there's only 2 teams going to be left playing on Sunday, and we're one of them. So whoever it might be, we'll be ready.
Okay, and your matchup against Tasha Pointer, she was terrific, but you played better in the second half.
Tasha Pointer's a great point guard, and I was really looking forward to the matchup against her just because she's had 3 solid years at Rutgers, and it was going to be a real challenge for me. And I'm very happy the way our team performed and the way I performed in the second half.
Okay, Kara, congratulations. Great poise from the freshman. Back to you, Robin.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. She may just be a freshman, but she's not going to get baited into that conversation about playing Connecticut a third time this season. All right, 24 minutes until the tip-off between Connecticut and Penn State. In the meantime, we'll break down Connecticut. Number 1 from day one. The Huskies' hopes at a second national title continue tonight. Awaiting the challenge, Penn State. A lineup led by seniors Andrea Garner and Helen Darling has Coach Renee Portland thinking about the possibilities of a championship season. And like the days of old at Immaculata College, later we'll take a look back at one of women's basketball's first dynasty. So come on back, everyone.
Aisle 4. Now, this maple has a bounce ratio of 8.3.
How do I raise my roof?
And Netmaster 2000 works
Next.
Both hands up, keep your elbows straight, and use this motion here.
Thank you very much. I will do that.
Welcome back, everyone, to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, for the women's Final Four. Inside the First Union Center, that's right, the Connecticut fans are making their way down to their seats to cheer on their Huskies, primarily Svetlana Abrosimova, a Kodak All-America, and putting up big numbers in the tournament as well, as is her teammate, Shea Ralph, a fellow Kodak All-America. Big numbers as well from Shea Ralph. And a very balanced attack all the way around during this NCAA tournament. 5 different leading scorers in the tournament, also 5 different rebounding leaders, so a very balanced, very talented team from Connecticut. Now, when you put up those kind of numbers, the comparisons begin. They begin being compared to the 95 team that, of course, went undefeated on their way to winning a national championship. But Gino Auriemma is reminded of another Husky team.
They remind me a little bit of the first team that I took here in '91. You know, they're like, hey, this is great, you know, we love it. They're not as, the 95 team came rolling in like, we're here to win a national championship, and I don't care what anybody says. And we did. This group, I think every day is like, wow, you know, what's going to happen next? What are we going to do? And I think there's a little bit of, my God, we're in the Final Four.
And that is a little bit surprising because they come in here with such confidence. They've been #1 since day 1 of the season, but you have to remember, they do not have Final Four experience.
And this is a young team, and it makes you wonder, in this kind of atmosphere against an older team in Penn State, how UConn is going to react. And I wonder if Penn State is able to keep this game close throughout and keep game pressure on UConn. UConn's been playing with leads for most of this season. 10, 15, 20-point leads most of the ball game. When they've got game pressure on them, when they're taking a shot, when it's a 2-point game, a 1-point game, that's a heck of a lot different, and we may see a UConn team react differently if they've got game pressure throughout the game.
I think if it's close, I think you're absolutely right. But the one thing that Connecticut does to assure itself that it jumps out is it jumps out in that press. They have a right to feel confident. They were beating teams by an average margin of victory of 30 points. So, yes, it will be very uncomfortable if it is a close game for them. But they've been #1 all season. The Final Four, all the fun and festivities for the most part, the cheesesteaks, they had that already. It's time to play basketball. I think Connecticut's going to come out.
I don't think they've been eating any cheesesteaks, folks. But when you have a player like Sue Bird, you have to remember she only played 8 games her freshman year before she was injured. She did not play in the tournament. And, boy, as Pat Summitt called her earlier in the year, she is a difference maker.
Well, definitely. Sue Bird is the one that makes the biggest difference for them. So few teams have been able to capitalize on the transition because Sue Bird, here she is defensively, but she's the one that orchestrates the break. If you stop her, whether you have the face guard or I don't know what you have to do to stop her, she's the one that controls the offense. She's the one that orchestrates the break, and teams really, really have to make sure that they key on her to be 100% sure that they can stop this UConn team.
You know, UConn is doing a better job right now with their half-court offense as well. Last season, this was a team that you wanted to get out of transition so you could make them play against your half-court defense. But on a trip to Europe this summer, they decided all they were going to work on was half-court execution. If you take a look this year, you can see Svetlana Abrosimova doing a nice job setting a back pick here. They have very good ball movement. They make great reads. Shea Ralph on the penetration, drawing the defense, finding Sue Bird, who shoots 50% from 3. It is no longer the case anymore that you can get UConn into a half-court game and get them rattled. They not only score in transition and score off their defense, now they're executing in the half-court. That makes them next to impossible to beat.
It certainly does. And a team that is not going to be intimidated by them is Penn State Lady Lions. They played them already once this season in December on a neutral floor in Orlando. They ended up losing by 13 points, but in the second half, twice it was a 3-point game. And according to Reedy Portland, that really set the tone for the rest of the year for the Lady Lions, the second half of that Connecticut game.
After that game, we got on the airplane to fly back to State College. We then said we set a goal of what we were going to learn from that, where we wanted to be at Christmas. We wanted to be in the top 10 in the country from Christmas. We've really used that Connecticut game to do a lot of positive things for this season. And it is very ironic that we're right back to that circle again.
And it is ironic that they've come full circle, the fact that they have to face Connecticut again, a team that they felt really set the tone for them. They're a very savvy ball club, aren't they?
Well, they are, because they've been there before. They've seen just about every aspect of college basketball. They lost early. They started winning. They made the innocent climb. Now they're in the Final Four. I think one of the best tributes other coaches make to Penn State is they, of course, have experience, but they run their stuff really well. They run their high-low, their screen for the screener. They get into it, and they run it well, and they're very difficult to guard, and they make other teams guard them, and that's a big key for them.
Well, I can tell you what impresses me the most is their offensive rebounding. I mean, I talk about Amazon.com, that affectionately named that, but these women in the paint control the boards. They're absolutely awesome. They're like lifelines on that game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You know, you get the penetration on the inside, you can count on Garner and Barnes to be there. Those second and third chance points could make the difference in this basketball game.
Yeah, they get those great inside play, but it really starts sometimes from the outside play, that three-point shooting by the Lady Lions, Jay.
Well, they're one of the better three-point shooting teams in the country, and that's because of Chrissy Falcone and Lisa Shepard, especially Lisa Shepard. She is one of the top three-point shooters in the nation. She led the Big Ten in three-point accuracy. You can see her here in the circle. Watch her come off the high screen, and she's got plenty of time to shoot. It was a catch-and-shoot play. She didn't have to put the ball on the floor, caught it in rhythm. This is what needs to happen today. UConn's got to get out and pressure her, force her to put the basketball on the floor. When she is dribbling the ball, she is nowhere near as effective. The same thing for Chrissy Falcone. They have made 174 threes on the year, has Penn State. 137 of them have come from Shepard and Falcone. You got to make them put it on the floor and get out and pressure them.
And now I got to repeat my comment again, because even if they take those three-point baskets, what really makes the difference, again, is the rebounding. Rebounding. That's where they're strongest. Don't listen to me. Take a look for yourself. Like I said, look at the lifelines. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Barnes is right there to help out. Garner is absolutely incredible with those long, lanky arms at 6'3". She has a knack for just finding the holes in the defense as well as the offense to get there on the offensive board. I am so impressed. This might be one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country.
We are definitely looking forward to the rematch between Connecticut and Penn State. All right, when we come back, a very special story. Immaculata College really got everything started in the women's game, and divine intervention here at the First Union Center. I feel like I'm watching the Mighty Max. We'll talk to Kathy Rush, the legendary coach, and much more when we come back. Stay with us.
You see these vans all around the
You know, before these wild times in women's basketball, we've got 21,000 here at the First Union Center for this Final Four. Before that, schools like Delta State, Southern Connecticut, and a small school just west of Philadelphia, Immaculata College, ruled. This is the story of the first dominant team in the women's game and the impact they continue to have today.
I've always thought that if the gods of women's basketball wanted to select a team to win the national championship and give women's basketball a jump start, they would have selected Immaculata.
It's been 3 national championships for that team, a little tiny Catholic school, no scholarships, and an amazing coach called Kathy Rush.
Forget about gender. I mean, she was a coach. You know, they were doing things, they were doing big-time things before big-time became the norm.
I was interviewed for the job when I was 22. They were offering $450. There were no scholarships. There was no travel money to speak of. The stigma was still attached, I think, to women's athletics, that if you were a girl that participated in athletics, that you were a little bit different, a little bit strange.
Yeah, it was an anomaly. But then it was like cute, you know, here's something that wins.
You know, at the time, there wasn't all the hoopla surrounding the game that there is now.
The Immaculata games were happenings. I mean, people came and they had no connection with the school just to see what was happening. Renee Portland's father owned a hardware store, and early in the season he brought 6 metal buckets, and he had cut wooden dowels, and he gave them out at the game, and everyone beat it on the drums. And then after that, the nuns wanted them, the students, some of the faculty, and he would bring 36 and 48.
Today you got, you know, media sitting there counting the number of times Rocky Top gets played. Back then it was nuns banging on washboards and kettle drums, and that was the orchestra.
Well, I often thought, you know, it must be scary for an opposing team to walk into that gym and see the nuns lined up with the rosary beads working.
the fact that all those factors came in, the support that we had from the Immaculata nuns and the entire family, the student body, was so unique at that time.
Things that people are fighting to get now, we had 25 years ago.
It was just a low-key situation that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and snowballing into something that I don't think any of us had control of.
We all could see the handwriting on the wall, so to speak, that the game was going to get much, much bigger. And that the days may be numbered for an Immaculata to continue to dominate.
But as long as it continues to grow, we can all pat ourselves on the back and continue to look at the game and how it's progressed and hope that it can continue to progress more.
A history lesson, and appropriate to do it here in Philadelphia. I am joined by Jeannie Lenti-Ponsetto, who's been with us throughout the tournament. Very proud to be sitting next to the legendary Kathy Rush, who you heard from, who was the coach at Immaculata, and Teresa Grentz, your former pupil, now the coach, of course, at Illinois. I want to start with you, Kathy, and how you ended that piece. When you walk in here and you see 21,000, because your team was a part of the very first nationally televised game for women in 1975, what do you feel when you come in here?
I am shocked. I am overwhelmed by the acceptance of women's basketball. But sometimes people forget, when we were at Immaculata, we were drawing 3,000 and 4,000 people to every game, selling out buildings because of the play of Teresa Shank and Renee Portland and Marianne Stanley.
Oh, that's right, Teresa Shank. That's going back a little bit. You are one of 40 coaches, over 40 coaches in Division I that had their roots from Philadelphia. What is it about this area that people want to go on and give back to the game?
Robin, I think that there's so many schools and there were so many coaches who, and you matched wits with everyone all the time, so you had to do different things. And if you were a basketball fan, you learned different things. And everyone developed their own style, a little piece of this and that, and you came away and it was the competition and I think the variety, the opportunity that we had.
Teresa, how does it feel for you this weekend? Renee was your teammate. She's your colleague. She was a rival when you were the Atlantic 10 and the Big 10. How are you feeling for her this weekend?
Well, I was very excited. I watched her team play all year, Jeannie, and she has had a great opportunity to be here, and I thought this team is special. Watching them play the other night, I wanted to call timeout for her.
Yeah.
I said, Renee, call timeout. And, but they played very well. They're exciting, and we're excited to be here with them.
Kathy, what is it about Philadelphia? 41 coaches, 41 college coaches now in Division I, II, and III. What is it about this city that's developed these great leaders in women's basketball? Not only the great leaders of women's basketball, but the great leaders in men's basketball, the Palestra, the Big Five. There's a tradition, there's a history here. All of us grew up going to the Palestra and watching those games. And for my players, playing in the CYO, which is an active part of every Catholic girl's life from the time they're in 3rd and 4th grade. Teresa played at the Palestra before 9,000 or 10,000 people in the high school championship, so there's a great history.
What kind of player was Teresa Shank? Come on.
Wait, don't tell. I'm still playing. I'm still coaching.
I don't want to talk about her mentally. Physically, she was the greatest player of her time. At that time, we played the national championship 4 games in 3 days.
Wow.
One year, Teresa averaged 24 points and 18 rebounds at a time that the team was averaging about 50 points. She was a dominant player, the greatest player of her game, and the first player to force players to step up to a new level.
You are her publicist. A quick question. What does Renee need to do here against Connecticut?
Her guard play, Helen Darling's been outstanding. She has this team right here, Robin. And when you play Connecticut, you have to know where not only the next pass goes, but the second pass as well. Connecticut keeps coming. They keep sliding over on those traps and things. You'll have to be able to take care of that ball and get it in the hands of the people who can put the ball in the basket.
All right, Teresa, thank you very much. Kathy Rush, I know you're going into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame this year. Well-deserved. We appreciate you joining us. All right, Renee Portland's team, the Lady Lions of Penn State, about to take on the Connecticut Huskies in just over 6 minutes here at the First Union Center in Philadelphia. Come on, folks, come on in. Get your seat, get your popcorn here. Come on back, everyone.
Dandruff,